this session, which is session C, the aim is to work from the half spaces, and the half spaces is the space right in from the wing. So you can imagine I play as a winger and then I come inside more towards the center and I play with my back to goal and I receive a ball from a midfielder or a defender. Then a few different situations may occur, and sometimes I may have someone tied on my back, sometimes it may be a defender who is late, who's trying to press me, and then I take, as I did right there, I take one touch past that imaginary defender, have a finish on goal, and sometimes he will be tied, I will need to do like this, and sometimes I will be able to turn just like I did here, attack a defender, 1v1, have a finish at goal. And sometimes the space will be to the inside, so I will have to drive laterally across the pitch, try to find a ball through or a ball over the top. The aim is really to become comfortable in multiple different situations that often occurs when playing in the half space, and these are the four that are the most common, which we have analyzed for me in my position. These are the most common situations that I will find myself in once I go into the half space. And that's why I really need to practice these, so I'm comfortable in all these different types of situations. As I said, playing with a defender tied on my back, driving in to find new space, having a longer touch to beat a late defender, or just protecting the ball. And here I went for 16 repetitions in total on each side. So I did 4 reps, 4 times for a total of 16 reps, and then I switched the entire setup to the other side and I practiced the exact same thing, just so that I'll be able to play comfortably from the half space on both the left and the right side.
The title for today is going to be Fear, Emotion, Pain and Anxiety.
So we keep going from neuroticism, just...
Yeah, so one of the key things we worked out with neuroticism is that if you are more neurotic, then naturally you're going to have a greater proclivity towards these emotions, towards pain, towards anxiety, towards fear.
Yeah.
So today, why that is and what we can do about it. So before we go directly into that, I've got a little preamble that we can speak through, just to kind of present it in the right way. Scientifically speaking, principle, a person doesn't have choices. So we consider ourselves to have free will and a freedom of choice, but that's not entirely true.
Okay.
Because the more that we are somebody, the more that we become binded to responsibility and obligations. So for example, if you become Cristiano Ronaldo, you have to turn up to training at a certain time every single day. You have to, he has to train beyond just what the team's doing in order to keep at his level of ability. So he has to do those extras. He needs to eat properly, he needs to sleep properly, he needs to recover. That's how he gets to that level.
For himself to feel, is it like an internal thing for him to feel that he have to do those things, or is it also external because he feels like he has done this for 20 years and he can just stop now?
So it's the two combined, because your ability is built around generally what other people expect of you.
Yeah.
So the more you become somebody, he's someone famous, there's a certain expectation of him. For him at 38 to then suddenly stop trying and then go downhill overnight, it doesn't fit in with the kind of way that he's perceived by other people, how he's built that over the previous 20 years. It's almost baked into him that he has to act a certain way, and he needs people to act a certain way. And of course that's difficult with Father Time, because eventually it does catch up.
Yeah.
But in his, he has that obligation to ensure that he's performing at a certain level. The more that you have to lose, the more that you have as responsibility that you have to keep to. So therefore that decides what you do as you act. Yeah. So when we about free will, free choices, you actually have fewer choices. The more that you attain, the more that you have to lose.
That makes a lot of sense. Like when I've been reading about high level CEOs and stuff, they often say that they don't want to be there because of all the responsibility. They get all the money and all that, but they rather have much less and much less responsibility as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we spoke about this a few years ago, but I don't know how well you remember it. But there was an example that we had about everything being in the mind. So everything that all the problems in your life, they're created firstly in your mind because of imagination. And the example we used was a mountaineering expert would say that everyone's cold in their head. So when we wrap up in a big coat in the winter and we're walking home at night and we feel frozen, we're so cold, even though we've got this big coat on, we should be warm really. And then you've got a rock climber who'll be in an open jacket, it's minus 20 Celsius, but he's climbing away without even noticing the temperature. So what we're interested in is what's going on in each of those people's heads that is creating a different perception of what the temperature is. So what is the difference between those two people?
I mean, the rock climber is probably more acclimatized to being in those situations. He's experienced them before and he knows that he will get out of them, so they don't intimidate him as much as someone who hasn't been in those like extreme colds. And I feel like that's one big thing.
Not even that cold, right? It could be he's in minus 20 as he's rock climbing, the other person's 5 degrees, so cold but not too bad. And they're just walking home at night. Again, they've got experience doing that. They walked home from work every day for years, but they still feel really cold, even though they're wrapped up warm. But there's something different about the way that those two are perceiving their situations that leads to that result. So what we're interested in is what's going on in their mind. So if our brains are generating delusions every day, as we try to understand the world around us, then we can come back to this idea that what our goal is defining how we then perceive the situation. So whereas the top climber is saying, I need to reach the top of the mountain, I won't give up, I need to do this, or as you say, I've done this many times before, I'll be fine. All of that's going on in his mind and leading him to not even perceive the temperature. He's too busy focused on his goal and what he's trying to achieve to even notice just there. Whereas that person that's walking home, probably in their mind is saying, I just want to get home, I can't wait to get home, I can't wait to get back in the warm. So of course, then they're going to notice the temperature and how cold it is because their focus changed.
So basically switching your focus in a way.
So the relative we have is that right to say to ourselves, I want this or I don't want that. And that changes mind in any moment. So like say, I want to get home, well, you're going to notice the cold because it's something in the way of you getting home. It's something that's affecting you in the meantime. If I want to that mountain, what temperature doesn't even come into play. It's not a factor. It's not something you think about. You're too busy thinking about where's the next rock that I can get hold of, where's the next get foot. There's too many other factors you're focusing on as you're trying to achieve that goal.
And it's the same thing as we spoke about the last time about changing your wants in terms of neuroticism and being out on the field. What I want to get out from a game. Do I want to put in a perfect 10 out of 10 performance? Then most likely I will tense up compared to if I just think I will give it my all.
Exactly. So how you respond is going to be based on those wants. Want to not make a mistake. Now your anxiety is going to spike every time that you think you might make a mistake. Where I've got a completely different perspective that I'm going to make mistakes, but what I want to do is make sure that I get past this defender at least once in the next couple of examples. Like the next few times I get the ball, I'm going to keep trying to come on. Suddenly that whole spec changed where you're not putting pressure on, I can't afford to make a mistake. Instead, we're now focused on that end goal of, can I create a chance of goal? And then keep getting the ball, you'll keep trying to do it until you do get that breakthrough. Something else, building on this idea, when we say I want or I don't want, we simultaneously decide whether or not we're going to act. So when you say I want this, really you're saying I am going to do this. Now, of course, there's obviously a way, but naturally, wherever your will is going, that's what your actions are then going to lead into.
I think if it's the same thing, but I think it was in 2019, I took like a 7-day confidence course or whatever it was called from another football YouTuber at the time. And one of the days was like setting intentions. And I feel like that's a bit similar to what you're describing now. Like setting an intention, setting a want of what I want to do makes it much more likely that I will be consistent in doing those things.
100%. And why is that? What's the reason that setting those intentions leads into what you do?
I mean, you're setting kind of expectations on yourself to do things, I don't know, which makes it much more likely that you actually perform them.
Have you heard the phrase, the world is delusion?
No, I don't think so.
The idea here is, as we're trying to understand the world around us, we're creating constant delusions in our mind to try and read that information. For example, colours aren't really there. Eyes are information and then producing colour to allow us to distinguish between different objects.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, same idea with if you say, I want to be a footballer, okay, having received that command, you're going to automatically begin receiving the world according to your wants, as if you're looking for the only things you're seeing are through that lens.
Is this like manifestation?
Sort of. It's more that if you say I want to be a footballer, every time that there's an opportunity related to that, you'll pick up on it, you'll notice it.
Yeah.
When not focusing, not going to even notice. So you might walk past someone that has an opportunity for you and you walk straight by them because it's not even...
I saw a TikTok on this, but they called it the red car syndrome. Like driving through traffic, and they asked them, how many red cars did you see today? And they said, probably some, but I don't remember. And then they said, if I would have told you, you will get $1 million if you count all the red cars on the way here, you will know how many it is. And that's exactly how opportunities work and taking those opportunities.
So that's all about, you're constantly filtering the information in the world to focus on what it is that you want. So when you say I want something, naturally you're now looking out for the information related to that. Great. Any questions on today?
No, not on today. I think it was very interesting. Once again, I liked the sessions, to be honest.
Let me know as well about when you're next free, because if we can go through the that'd be useful.
Yeah.
Alright, sweet. I'll speak to you soon then.
Yeah, speak to you soon.
Okay, see you now.
Take care, bye. So in today's Q&A, I will answer a question from MWayuli08. And his question is, in all the tryouts I've been, I believe I can offer what 90% of all the players there can't. Hence, I tend to make rush decisions and try to force things. How do I fix or improve my decision making? #reborn. First of all, it's really great that you're confident heading into a situation like a trial, and I don't really believe here that it's your decision making that is lacking. It may be, but I think from what you are describing, I think it's more of a mental issue, and that leads to your decision making not being in the place where it should be in these trials. I think your focus here is a bit misplaced, and I'm not blaming you, because when you're heading to a trial, you obviously want to do well because it means a lot to you, and you want to perform well and ultimately get the chance at that club or that academy or wherever you're doing your trial. I will try to break this down in exactly how I think that you think in these situations. So first off, you come to this trial and you quite quickly notice that you may be better technically and physically and all these things. You may be better than the other players that are there. Now you have formed a perception within your head that you are better than these players. So what you're doing at the moment is that you're heading into these trials with the perception of, I am better than all these players, and then your goal is that I need to show that. Instead of thinking, I am a really good player, then you're taking away that comparison from these other players, and now you suddenly don't have a bar to aim for other than your own self, and then the goal could be more along the lines of, I will play to the absolute best of my abilities, instead of I will try to play better than them, because then you have switched your focus from being internal on yourself to something external that you can't affect. If these other players play really well suddenly and you misplace a pass, then you will start to have some anxiety, because you have this perception in your mind that you're better than them and you can't show it. But if you instead switch that perception and you ignore all the other players, everything around it, you switch it, you go to yourself, your internal focus, and think that I will put my best foot forward, I will show what I'm about, and I will take each situation as it comes. Then you're suddenly in the moment, you're focused on yourself and nothing externally, and that should help you out a lot in these situations.